Okay guys, what's up? So today we're going to be talking about the top 5 BMX bikes that you can get for under $500. This list is as of like right now because, if I would have made this list last year, we would have seen some other bikes like the Division 4Ts, the Kink Whip, some of those bikes. Now as time changes, bike prices go up, some bikes go out of stock, some bikes are hard to find. So as of this second, right now, these are the best bikes that you can get for $500, okay? $500 or less. And I think it's important to note, I always talk about the free bike recommendation, but if you guys I will find the right bike for you because some of these bikes might not be it. There's a lot of things that go into it, the top tube size, your budget, what skill level you are, things like that. Because if you are a brand new rider, you might not need a bike that costs $500, you might need a $400 bike, $300 bike. Or if you're really experienced, you're gonna have to up that budget to get something decent, okay? Anyway, here we go, okay? I wish these were in a particular order, but they're not in a particular order. Bike number 5 is gonna be the SUBROSA Salvador. So the SUBROSA Salvador, it has the 20.5 Salvador option, it has a 21-inch Salvador XL option, and then it's got a Salvador free coaster and a Salvador park. So there's a lot of Salvador options. Quality-wise, they all score very, very similar. Quality-wise, the XL, the Salvador free coaster, they're all the same. The variances you run into is like how good it is for street, how good it is for park, and things like that. So anyway, the Salvador is $400. It's on sale right now. It's $100 off. So even for $500, the full MSRP, this is still a decent bike. I think it scores like a 3.6 in quality on the Dougsterbob app, but basically it's not a full chromoly frame. It's only a tri-moly frame, and finding a full chromoly frame in 2023 for under $500 is damn near impossible. So this is cool. We got tri-moly. The thing that you need to worry about is the back end of the bike. Doing a McTwisty because this back end right here is high tensile steel and this is chromoly, so that's good, but this is bad. High tensile steel, no good. It comes in the 20.5 or the XL 21-inch option. It only weighs 25.9 pounds. That's pretty solid, but the rims are single wall. And again, that's another thing you need to worry about. That back rim could potentially do a McTwisty and bend up because it's single wall, especially if you're a heavier rider. With the quality of this bike, I wouldn't really recommend it for anybody who weighs who weighs more than like 150 pounds, and that's pushing it. Again, because the high tensile steel, the single wall rims, these parts will just take a lot more abuse, especially if you're heavier. They're gonna bend and break. Okay, so tri-moly frame. Chromoly steer tube on the forks. That means the legs are only high tensile steel. It's got a Rant Trill top load stem. Everything on it is fully sealed, even the hub, which is important. Usually on a bike with the similar quality to this, you're going to see an unsealed front hub. This one's got the sealed hubs. And okay, and so that's the bike. Okay, the Salvador is on the list. It's under $500, and right now at this sale price, it's like an exceptionally good deal. For $499, I'd say you could probably spend a little bit more and get something quite a bit better. For $399, you can't really beat this. If you do get this bike, just make sure you're under 150 pounds because I don't want you to put unnecessary stress on the bike and cause problems and have issues with it. I do not want that to happen. Okay, next on the list is going to be a fly bike. It's the Fly ELECTRON. Okay, number 4 on the list, the Fly ELECTRON. Now, here's the story with Fly. As I make more stuff, more content, I noticed that fly bikes are pretty good. They're really good, actually. But 2 years ago, they were not so good. This bike, this ELECTRON BMX bike, which I have here in a box, I need to do a video on it, but I'm waiting on Fly. Anyway, I'll get a real hands-on review on this one for you guys, so stay tuned for that. But 2 years ago, this was like a $500 bike, and $550, and I'm like, hey, this is kind of overpriced. And now for $400, the same price as the Salvador, let's see what you get. One, it looks nice. Okay, it looks very nice, and you get different options. 20.5 or 21 inch, and you can choose right hand drive or left hand drive, and you can choose the color. I appreciate that Fly gives you the option here because some people would rather do left hand drive if they grind on the right side, and some people would rather do right hand drive. You know, like, it's nice to be able to change that on a complete bike, and you cannot do that on any other complete bike except like the high-end Sundays and the high-end We the Peoples. Those are the only other options. So this, for a $400 bike that gives you the ability to choose right hand drive, left hand drive, it's incredible. Very incredible. Okay, but what makes this bike worth $400? Well, it only has a chromoly down tube. Everything else is high tensile steel. And so where the Salvador had a chromoly front triangle and then a high tensile steel back end, the Fly Electron only has a chromoly down tube, which is cool because primarily if you have issues with high tensile steel, it's going to be this head tube crinkling. And so I've had this happen a number of times, but I nose case something and then the nose case something and then the high tensile steel frame just twists in like that. And with the chromoly down tube, that's going to stop that from happening. It's not a huge selling point, but it is, you know, I understand the sentiment. Like, I understand why they did that. I get why they put it there. The forks are chromoly, and it's a one-piece steer tube with high tensile steel legs, so very similar to the Salvador. Okay, the bars are high tensile steel. This bike only weighs 24.9 pounds, and it's a loose ball front hub. So that's what I was talking about there on the Salvador. Again, is that like most bikes with this level of quality are going to be a loose ball front hub, and that's exactly what the Electron is. So I wouldn't recommend the Electron over the Salvador right now because the Salvador is the exact same price. When the Salvador is its $500 MSRP, that's a little bit different. Okay, but when the Electron is the same price as the Salvador is going to be a much better option. But the Electron is a solid bike that scores in the 3s or so. Okay, for quality, it scores in the 3s. But if we step it up, I'm trying to decide which one to do next for number 3. I think we're going to do another Fly for number 3. This bike is $80 more than the Electron, but it is much, much better. It's $479. Bike number 3 is going to be the Fly Proton. You again can choose right hand drive or left hand drive in between the colors, and you can decide if you want it brakeless or you want to have brakes. Just get the brakes. Get it with brakes, and then if you don't put them on, that's cool. Okay, but if you anyway, get them with the brakes so you have that option. They look nice, and one thing that's cool is they have a Proton Street, and they just have a street specific version. This bike has pegs and hub guards, and for a bike under $500 to come with 4 pegs and 4 hub guards is actually crazy. That's actually crazy. I can't think of any that come with pegs and hub guards, especially around this price point. You get like the Kink Williams for $1,000 comes with pegs and hub guards. I think the Street Sweeper for $700 comes with pegs and hub guards, but that's way more than this bike. Anyway, it looks beautiful. It's only available in the 21-inch top tube, and that could be a bummer for the smaller riders who want a cool bike with pegs and hub guards. That's a bummer. Okay, but 21 inch is good for me, so like we're chilling. Quality wise, we've got a full chromoly frame. We've also got a full chromoly forks with a one-piece steer tube and full chromoly bars. So already, like, this is silly. Okay, this is absolutely silly that the Electron is $400 and it's only got a chromoly down tube and a chromoly steer tube. That's really it. For $80 more, you get this much better bike, pegs, hub guards, you get full chromoly frame, full chromoly forks, full chromoly bars. It's like, yo, this is crazy. This is a crazy step up. Everything's obviously fully sealed, okay, and it weighs 24.6 pounds, right under 25 pounds. It's this is one of the best values that you can get, and I've definitely slept on Fly bikes in the past. I've ignored how good Fly bikes are, and yeah, I've ignored it, and I've got a list. On my list is to hit the Fly bike 2023 reviews. They've been making crazy changes and crazy moves, and I definitely appreciate that because I think they're making moves to get more people into the sport at a better price point, and that's exactly what I want to do. So this is awesome. Now, it's important to note here, these cranks, I think I saw Samuel say that it seems like 48 spline. That's what I thought too, but they're not. They're like 16 or something. They're better than 8 spline for sure, but they're not 48 spline, but they do have that 48 spline design. I know I thought the same thing, but that is not the case. Treble 3-piece. So anyway, they're like 16 or something. They're better than 8, but they're not quite 48 spline. Anyway, that's the Proton. But next on the list, number 2, gets even better, but the price goes up a little bit. We got HARO. HARO, this is the first time HARO's made it on a list where I wasn't talking bad about bikes. So everyone say like, congrats to HARO. Somebody brought this bike to my attention in a live stream, actually. They said, hey, what do you think about the Midway? And I'm like, HARO's a scam. And then I looked at it and I was like, actually, this is a good deal. This is a solid bike, good price. I was hyped on it, okay? And now it's $100 cheaper. So we saw the Salvador, $100 cheaper. We saw the Proton, or the ELECTRON for $399. Now the Midway's on sale for $399. And this bike is, yeah, I'd say close to Proton quality. Without the pegs and hub guards for $80 cheaper. So that's crazy. Anyway, the HARO Midway. This is the 2021. It's got a full chromoly frame, full chromoly forks, full chromoly bars, 9-inch rise bars. It's got double wall rims. It's a solid bike. Now, the thing here you're not gonna see is like close attention to detail that you would see on the Proton. So for example, just look how clean this Proton looks. Nice, clean, attention to detail. It's got really nice parts. The HARO, I'm not talking bad about it, but the attention to detail is definitely going to be different on a HARO and on a Mongoose because these bikes are like more mass produced. And so they just don't have the same level of attention to detail. As a base quality bike, getting this full chromoly frame, forks, and bars is super important, especially for $400, because then you can make upgrades. And upgrading your pedals, upgrading your bars, upgrading your stem, upgrading your wheels, like that's a lot cheaper than upgrading your frame. And so getting this with full chromoly, super important because you don't have to worry about upgrading. Anyway, I'm impressed with this HARO bike. It's kind of heavy. It doesn't have the weight listed here right now, but I think if I remember looking at it on HARO's site, it was about 28 pounds. And so this bike is significantly heavier than the other ones. But as a full chromoly bike, this bike's going to be solid. Weight limit of 180 pounds, maybe even more. Because it's solid. Okay, full chromoly everything. This is great. For this price is actually insane because for $500, like that's a good price. You can't find very many bikes with this level of quality. For $500, you definitely can't find it for $400. Okay, definitely can't. Definitely can't. But now number 1. We're gonna do this bike as number 1 because I don't talk about them very often, but the Colt Control is a bike that I have definitely slept on. I've always overlooked it and said, hey, just buy the Colt Devotion. It's important to note though, the Colt Control is a 20.75 inch top tube, which makes it better for riders between 5'9" and 6 foot, where the 21 inch top tube is really only good for those people over 6 foot. And I think the Control fits a wider range of riders. I think the 20.75 inch top tube is gonna fit more riders. And I like that. I appreciate that aspect because it's like most high-end bikes are gonna be 21 inch top tube. And if that's not the right size for you, buying a bike is really frustrating. And I totally get that, okay? Anyway, we got full chromoly frame, full chromoly. Ooh, chromoly steer tube on the forks. That's different. That is different. So that suggests that the legs are high tensile steel. Colt and Fit are very misleading about their bikes, but this is interesting. This is not good. Anyway, the bars though are full chromoly, and it's got a double wall rim in the back and a single wall rim in the front. So that was one thing I stress. If you guys can afford double wall rims front and back, go for it, okay? But if you cannot, having a single wall rim in the front is going to be just fine because the impact when you're doing tricks, it doesn't apply to the front wheel very much. If you nose case something, if you do something crazy and hit the front wheel, obviously it's going to take that impact. But when you're riding, majority of the time, this back end is going to take the beating. You learn 360s, you learn 180s. This back end goes and the wheel gets dinged, you break your wheel. So it's important to have a double wall rim on the back. Single wall rim on the front, or double wall rim on the front is cool, but I wouldn't say it's a super high priority thing. So for $500, you can get this full chromoly Colt Control. It's a good bike, and I'm gonna rank it as number 1 because this isn't based off of sale price. But if we talk about what we're seeing right here, what I would recommend, the best bike on this list would be the HARO Midway, because it's only $400 and you've got full chromoly, you've got double wall rims, you've got all of that. So the Midway is a step up in quality from the Colt Control, and it's $100 cheaper. Aside from that, the Proton would be the next best thing because it's also full chromoly. It's $80 more than the Control at this, or $80 more than the Midway at the sale price, but it comes with pegs, it comes with hub guards, and it's a beautiful looking bike. And that would be the next best one. Okay, so anyway, those are the top 5 bikes right now that you can get for under $500. All of these bikes score at least a 3 in quality score. Some of them score closer to a 5.6, and just to give you some context, the Kink Whip scores like a 7.2, and unfortunately the Kink Whip is not on the list this year because the Kink Whip is over $500, and some of these bikes, like, I would honestly say to go with the Proton over the Kink Whip this year. That is interesting. In the Kink Whip review, I was saying, hey, I don't know what the best value is going to be, but I think it's going to be the Proton right now. And it's sad, but hey, you know, no kinks are on this list. The kink gap wasn't even good enough to make it on this list. Very unfortunate. Kink. Very disappointing. But anyway, that's the top 5 bikes under $500. Let me know in the comments if you guys agree or disagree with that list.